A civilization born. Before writing. Chinese civilization is unique among the ancient cultures of the world, not only because of its continuity, but because of how it understands its own beginnings. While many civilizations mark the start of their history with writing, monuments, or kings' lists, China begins its story earlier, in a world where memory, myth, and moral meaning were more important than dates or records. Long before the first characters were carved into bone or cast into bronze, the people of ancient China explained their past through stories. These stories were not casual tales or entertainment. They were the framework through which society understood order, authority, disaster, and survival. In a world shaped by unpredictable nature, especially the violent floods of the Yellow River, myth became a way to explain why chaos occurred and how harmony could be restored. This early age of Chinese history, stretching back to the 3rd millennium BCE, exists in a space where legend and archaeology overlap. It is not a false history, but a symbolic one, where rulers are judged not by conquest, but by virtue, and where the right to rule is earned through responsibility rather than inherited power. To understand China's later empires, philosophies, and political traditions, one must begin here, in a time when history was remembered, not written. Cradle of civilization, source of destruction. The foundation of early Chinese civilization lies along the Yellow River, known in Chinese tradition as both the Mother River and the Sorrow of China. This river shaped the geography, economy, and psychology of the people who lived beside it. Its waters carried fertile yellow silt from the highlands, creating rich farmland that allowed agriculture to flourish and permanent settlements to emerge. Yet this same river was one of the most dangerous in the ancient world. Unlike the Nile, which flooded predictably, the Yellow River changed its course without warning. Entire villages could disappear in a single season. Crops could be destroyed overnight. Survivors were often forced to rebuild their lives again and again, generation after generation. This constant threat shaped early Chinese society in a profound way. Survival could not depend on individual strength or isolated families. Cooperation became essential. Communities organized collective labor to build dikes, dig canals, and redirect water away from farmland. These projects required planning, coordination, and leadership on a scale that naturally led to the emergence of political authority. In early China, leadership was not born from military conquest, but from competence. Those who could organize people, manage disaster, and protect the community gained respect and influence. Failure, on the other hand, meant the loss of legitimacy. This relationship between nature and authority would later become central to Chinese political philosophy, forming the roots of the idea that rulers must maintain harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity, the model of the ideal ruler. Chinese historical tradition places the origins of civilization under the rule of the Yellow Emperor, known as Huangdi. He is not remembered simply as a king, but as a culture hero, a figure who transformed chaos into order. According to ancient texts, the world before Huangdi was divided among rival tribes, locked in constant conflict and lacking shared laws or values. Huangdi is said to have unified these tribes, not through brute force alone, but through wisdom, strategy, and moral authority. He established laws, standardized customs, and laid the foundations of governance. Later tradition credits him with introducing medicine, astronomy, calendars, music, and even the earliest forms of writing. Modern historians debate whether Huangdi was a single historical individual or a composite figure representing multiple leaders. Yet, this question is less important than his symbolic role. Huangdi represents the ideal ruler in Chinese thought, a leader who governs through knowledge, virtue, and responsibility rather than fear or violence. According to legend, Huangdi did not die. Instead, he ascended to the heavens upon a dragon, becoming an immortal being. This story gave rise to the belief that Chinese emperors ruled by divine authority, calling themselves sons of the dragon. This idea would shape imperial legitimacy for thousands of years and remain deeply embedded in Chinese culture, from survival to civilization. Beyond Huangdi, Chinese tradition speaks of a group of legendary rulers known as the Three Sovereigns and Five Emperors. These figures are not remembered for wars or territorial expansion, but for teaching humanity the skills needed to move from survival to civilization. One ruler is said to have taught the use of fire, allowing people to cook food, protect themselves, and live together more safely. Another introduced agriculture and medicine, enabling stable food production and population growth. Others established moral and social rules, defining relationships between ruler and subject, parent and child, and setting the foundations of social harmony. These stories reflect a deeply rooted belief in Chinese thought that rulership is a moral responsibility. Power alone does not grant legitimacy. Authority must be earned through virtue, wisdom, and service to the people. This belief would later evolve into the concept known as the mandate of heaven, the idea that heaven grants authority only to just rulers and withdraws it from those who fail in their duties. Leadership through sacrifice. At the center of early Chinese myth stands one defining catastrophe: the Great Flood. This disaster threatened the survival of early society, overwhelming the Yellow River Basin and destroying fields, homes, and entire communities. Many leaders attempted to control the flood through force, building barriers that ultimately failed. Then came Yu, later remembered as Yu the Great. Unlike others, Yu did not attempt to block the water. Instead, he worked with it, redirecting rivers, carving channels through the land, and guiding floodwaters back to their natural paths. Legend says Yu labored for 13 years without rest, even passing his own home without entering it, fully dedicating his life to saving the people. Yu's success established a powerful political idea. Leadership is earned through sacrifice. A ruler proves legitimacy not through lineage or power, but through service and responsibility. This story became one of the most influential narratives in Chinese political culture. Between myth and history, Yu's achievements are said to have led to the founding of the Xia dynasty, traditionally regarded as China's first state. For centuries, the Xia existed only in legend, with no written records to confirm their existence. Many scholars once believed the dynasty was purely mythical. Modern archaeology has changed this view. Excavations at sites such as Erlitou reveal evidence of urban planning, bronze technology, and centralized authority dating to this early period. While absolute certainty remains elusive, these discoveries suggest that the Xia represent a transitional phase between myth and historical reality, the beginning of recorded history. With the rise of the Shang dynasty, China enters recorded history. The Shang left behind oracle bones, animal bones, and turtle shells inscribed with questions directed to ancestors and gods. When heated, cracks appeared, and these were interpreted as divine answers. These inscriptions form the earliest known Chinese writing. They reveal a society where religion, political authority, and writing were deeply intertwined. The king stood at the center of a cosmic order, acting as mediator between the human and spiritual worlds. The Shang period marks the moment when myth gives way to documented history, setting the stage for the dynasties and philosophies that would follow. Why the myths still matter. The early age of China is not merely a collection of legends. It is the foundation upon which Chinese civilization was built. These stories shaped ideas of leadership, morality, and legitimacy that endured for thousands of years. In China, myth was never abandoned. It became the framework through which history, politics, and culture were understood. To understand China's later empires, one must first understand these early stories, where the line between legend and reality was not a weakness, but a strength.